Stephen Strange, you are now called before the Illuminati to meet the greatest steampunk in the universe.
Holy Christ.
Hella cash.
Oh, yeah! Let's go!
Where'd you move here from? Dumbsville?
Yo, I hit the jeweler, got some goals. I sold a little weed, but I could never sell my soul. And when I'm in LA, you find me out in Lil Toe. Come up, go with my ramen, I'ma need another bowl. Let's go.
By toolbox, did David mean this, or did he mean himself?
Shut your ass up.
Well, here we are. Life is Strange Before the Storm. Now, it's no secret. I think the first game sucks. However, apparently, I'm Joker cuckoo crazy because the game made loads of money.
You got hella cash.
And saved Didnt from the near bankruptcy of their last title, Remember Me, which nobody remembers, and won Games for Impact at the Jeff Keighley Adventures Awards.
Mr. Hideo Kojima.
Did you like it? Yeah, my money.
And since Life is Strange sold really well, scored really well, and is probably really cheap to make, that means it's franchise time, boys. Meanwhile, Legacy of Kain got shafted for 20 years.
Given the choice, whether to rule a corrupt and failing empire, or to challenge the fates for another throw, a better throw against one's destiny, what was a king to do?
But rest assured, the Life is Strange franchise is still going strong.
Most ironic of all was the last gift that Raziel had given me. The first bitter taste of that terrible illusion. Hope.
So this game wasn't actually developed by Didnt, but rather a new studio called Deck 9, who previously made such classics like Pain for the PS3. We wouldn't see Didnt return to the franchise until Life is Strange 2, before abandoning it again. So this game is all new blood. Furthermore, this game is indeed a prequel, starring my favorite character, Chloe Price, and her relationship with Rachel Amber, the missing girl from the first game. So already, that first game's mystery is immediately at risk of being ruined, or at the very least, just boringly rehashed. Wow, what a great idea for a prequel. I too also think the best Silent Hill was the shitty one.
Hey, you a doctor?
Fucking ugly bitch.
But regardless, Deck 9 has a lot to work with. I mean, plumbing is a really hard job. You have to deal with a lot of shit. Apparently, not even Life is Strange fans are too big on this game, saying that it's not as good as the first one. Dear God, I'm horrified. So let's just see how it is. Also, a few things to note first. First of all, the first time I beat this game was when I was recording footage for this video. So in the case of the first game, I had 1 to 7 years to fully form my opinion. And before the Storm's case, I had about 1 month. So if my opinions are unrefined as hell, that's why. Secondly, I'm playing the PC version on Steam Deck. I really wanted to try it out. So once again, no shitty remastered version. Also, I will not be playing the Life is Strange Before the Storm edition, which includes an extra episode titled Farewell. Now, I don't know about you, but I really don't want to spend $10 extra on a game I probably won't like, just to get a little bit of paywalled story content.
It's gonna cost a lot of bucks, yeah.
Maybe I'll make a Life is Strange bonus video one day, but as of right now, color me uninterested. If there's anything important in this chapter, I really don't care to know what it is. But enough digressing. This is Life is Strange Before the Shitstorm.
Staring at your dress cause it's see-through.
VR Uncle Production.
Talking all the shit that you done been through. Yeah. Say that you a lesbian, girl, me too. Hey, girls want girls where I'm from. Hey, girls want girls.
Hello, I'm your Exiled Bar.
Part 1 is the game an improvement.
No, it's not. Well, let's start off with what's better about the game. 1, the music is good, and that's literally it. Everything else in this game is either on par with the first and doesn't improve the game substantially, or genuinely terrible and somehow worse than the first game. I would say that as an overall package, it's on par with the first game's quality, which isn't a good thing. Like the first game, the dialogue is absolutely terrible, with the writers not really knowing how humans communicate. As a result, you get this mess of pop culture and slang that feels panderingly, is that a word? Panderingly unrealistic.
Did you just laugh?
I did. Chloe just owned you.
This dialogue is Starman levels of bad. How did this franchise win awards again?
Got my DVD, 1 Blade Runner. Director's cut coming right up.
What are you playing? Dragon City. I've never heard of it.
There's genuinely not a whole lot to say either. If you watched my first Life is Strange video, I have the same complaints here. Only this time, you're playing as the shitty person I hate.
I'm just glad someone here appreciates the classics.
You even asked for the director's cut, which took out the shitty voiceover and replaced it with a sweet dream sequence.
What are you talking about?
So really, the dialogue has not improved at all. Not that I exactly expected it to, but garbage writing is still garbage writing.
I didn't realize you and Rachel were such BFFs.
I would like to greet you a happy birthday and—
To make matters worse, the writing feels more amateurish this time. They have a whole new team working on this, and as a result, it just feels way more flimsy. The dialogue is so wistfully unrealistic, and plays into stereotypes of what people think drug addicts and hipsters are like, that when the game tries to be grounded, it can't be taken seriously, because 2 episodes earlier, I was given a Kojima-level exposition dump on fucking Blade Runner! It feels like God's Not Dead level writing, only instead of Christian propaganda, now it's fuckwords and Drake Aubrey Graham. Now, in the first game, I hated nearly everyone I encountered, and when I didn't, I was being gaslit into liking them. Now, before the storm actually fixes this issue, by having me forget everyone that I encountered, pretty much all the new characters are so fucking bland. I genuinely did not care about them. And even the old characters are shells of their former selves. I'll get to them later. But to make a long story short, you're supposed to recognize them, and that's the entire value of their characters in this game, serving no full-on story function whatsoever. Aside from, oh look, I remember him. Even Rachel Amber, who we'll get to later, is nothing more than a manic pixie dream girl with some half-assed emotional problems. But trust me, we'll get there later. Also, like the first game, your choices don't mean anything in this game. It really does feel like they rehashed the first game's biggest problem. There are entire sections of the game that pretend like you have to win them, but even if you intentionally fail them, the game just keeps on going. For example, there's one part in the game where you have to, out of nowhere, put on a stage performance for The Tempest. It's a funny moment, you see. So at the last minute, you have to memorize some lines and deliver the right ones on stage.
And you are a Nazi whore.
And I kid you not, you can fuck up this entire segment, and yet it quite literally affects nothing. I'm not even joking, you can't lose this section, even if you deliver all the lines wrong. The scene plays out nearly the exact same, minus some minor dialogue changes. It's literally bitches be like,
"You're a born thespian, my dear. I'll be chasing you down next year." And the ending, absolutely transformative. I am humbled.
And then 10 minutes later,
a stumbling start perhaps, but then absolutely transformative. I am humbled.
Oh, and also there are only 2 endings again. So once again, like the first game, your choices really do not matter. And yes, I know it's a prequel, but it's a prequel to a choice-driven game. And it's a prequel that itself pretends to be choice-driven, which begs the question, why did you make this? Why does this game exist? Did you not see the immediate problems when making this game? That it might be way too obvious the game is going to end in a certain way? The game wants to have its cake and eat it too. It wants to be a choice-driven game like the first, but you can't be choice-driven when we already know what happened! Why didn't you make a sequel and/or prequel with a new cast of characters? Oh wait, you would do that anyway! So why did you even bother doing this one? Was Chloe Price's story really that important to tell? Because it for sure really doesn't feel that way. Overall, this game is not an improvement from the first. If you liked the first game, I can at least say it's more of the same, but by its very nature, it's so blatantly not as engaging. So no, Before the Storm is not an improvement. What it is, however, is a really bad prequel.
Number 2, it's a bad prequel.
Making a prequel is really hard work. It's not enough to just explain what happened before the original story. You have to actively make that prequel a good story as well, and have it be able to stand on its own. It's really hard to do that when the audience already knows the ending. But as long as you don't do it before the storm does, which is somehow below the bare minimum, you might be able to get away with it. As a prequel, Before the Storm is an absolute failure. It's kind of impressive how they fucked it up this bad. First of all the old characters have been completely ruined, being reduced to Marvel Cinematic Universe reference bait. And I didn't even like them in the first game. Their entire value is you knowing who they are already, but not their actual function in the story. There is literally a scene where Nathan Prescott comes in. He gets pushed around for a bit, calls you a bitch, I guess.
You think I need help? From you?
And just never shows up for the rest of the game. It's like they wanted all the 12-year-olds playing this to go, I recognize Nathan Prescott.
I clapped when I saw it.
Victoria Chase also shows up and tries to drug your drink like once in the game, and does next to nothing else. She's only here because you remember her. With the exception of Chloe Price, all the old characters are never properly explored, which once again makes them glorified references. Which, fun fact, doesn't make your story good.
You see that in the movies? References.
give you no narrative advantage whatsoever.
You also have Frank in this game, who in the original game is that drug dealer who has the dog that Chloe kills. And while he does get more screen time than other characters, he still functions as a glorified plot device and doesn't really do anything in the story. Oh, and David's also here. And holy shit, did they neuter David. I kid you not, David's arc legitimately makes zero sense. So in the original game, he was an abusive prick, right? But had a pretty cool redemption arc and was one of the few things I liked about the game. Seeing him be forced to confront his own actions, seeing all the nuances in his character, he was complicated, but also went through a really good arc. Once again, in the original game, he genuinely cared for Chloe, but had some pretty horrible flaws that were also enabled by Chloe. In this game, he makes one relatively sexist comment.
Why do you women always take forever to get ready?
And is otherwise relatively nice to you in the game. The fucking morons who wrote this looked at David's redemption arc and thought that meant he was a relatively nice guy. This makes Chloe, who we'll get to a little bit later, either look like a needless prick, which is for the most part the case, and/or completely out of character. You can literally make peace with David and accept him as your stepdad in this game, only for all of that to be nullified once the first game begins. It's actually impressive how they were able to write themselves into a corner like this.
I've had my share of grief. I know what you're going through. Be careful out there, Chloe.
Is that grass? You been toking up again in here?
You smoked that gas station weed!
And while we're on the topic, and because I have no idea where else to put this, David's voice actor is so fucking shitty. So in this game, they pretty much recasted almost everyone because of the video game's voice actor strike. Because of this, a lot of the new cast sound more like they're doing impressions of old characters, which already isn't very good. But for David, who the fuck look at this tough army man character and went, yeah, let's get a Silent Hill voice actor to do this game.
You know, you could actually be good at this if you lost the attitude.
I was the one who saved her from the fire.
Also in the original game, it's revealed that Rachel Amber cheated on Chloe with Frank.
I can't believe she was banging Frank. Rachel straight up lied to my face.
This is never explored in Before the Storm. This is like making the Star Wars prequels, but the entire trilogy is fucking Attack of the Clones.
Oh shit, that's me!
There are also plot holes and plot inconsistencies. I already mentioned how David's arc is completely just fucked over, and I won't be really getting into them because frankly, I just don't care that much. But if you're interested in learning about them, you can go to the Life is Strange wiki, where there's an entire article on pretty much all the canon inconsistencies. What a fucking shit show. Okay, so I'm editing the video now and I'm kind of sick, so I sound like shit. But according to this article, and according to didnt, Chloe Price is left-handed in the original game, but didnt forgot to tell Deck 9 or whatever. So in Before the Storm, she's just right-handed for no fucking reason. What a disaster this is. What the fuck? Now in contrast, Metal Gear Solid 3 is an amazing prequel. Without spoiling this amazing experience, Metal Gear Solid 3 isn't solely reliant on nostalgia bait, but rather actually expands on previous elements of the previous games. Case in point, Revolver Ocelot, who is a really important character in the previous two games, plays a really important role in Metal Gear Solid 3, which ties him into the rest of the series. MGS3 is also just a really good game on its own, with really cool, thought-provoking themes, and just in general, really enjoyable characters. Life is Strange Before the Storm, however, is way too reliant on it being a prequel, and yet never actually explores anything that would be worth exploring in a prequel.
You're hella mysterious, Chloe Price. Hella? Who says that?
It's like they hired a Wattpad fanfiction writer to write this. It's only made to appease fans of the previous game, but not actually do anything unique with that. And we haven't even gotten to the main part of the game yet.
Part 3, Chloe and Rachel bad.
Yes, and you a lesbian girl, me too.
Oh, golly gee, it's my favorite characters. It's actually really impressive how they were able to fuck this up on 3 different levels. From Chloe herself to Rachel herself to the romance itself. First off, Chloe Price. Now in the original game, I fucking hated this bitch. And in this game, she's not a whole lot better, only this time she's the main character, meaning that overly snarky bitchiness is now translated into interpersonal dialogue, and it's just as obnoxious as you would think it would be.
Fun fact. Shark babies eat their siblings in the womb. Maybe that's why I'm an only child.
Shut your ass up.
And with the exception of the parts where the game gives you choices, the dialogue never changes. Not only is the writing obnoxiously angsty, but it's also repetitive. They want Chloe to be witty and sassy, a quirked up white girl on a Tuesday afternoon, this aggressive, edgy punk girl. But of course, by edgy and sassy, they really mean giving a middle finger to a fence in the beginning of the game. By witty, they mean let's give her a fucking rap battle mechanic. Yeah, I don't know where else to put this, but there's a rap battle mechanic where you can backtalk people and get new information out of them. Of course, these rap battling bars result to middle school insults.
Chloe, this can't be you. Apologize this instant.
I'm the head of state. You're like a head of cabbage.
Because while the writers want Chloe to be witty, the idea of witty the writers have in mind is epic rap battles of history.
Look at my face. Do I look cute?
You got the mama jeans.
So already you have a pretty bad main character. But at the very least, it serves its function of being a decent romance. Is what I would say if the game served its function of being a decent romance. Now here's the thing. Writing a good romance is incredibly hard. You need to have two very well-developed characters and have engaging chemistry between them. We already established that one of those characters is Chloe Price. So already one of these characters is completely unengaging. But now we have Rachel Amber and the rest of the romance. Now a lot of people really hate Rachel Amber, including fans of Life is Strange. It's very similar to how I hated Chloe Price in the first game. However, unlike Chloe, who is a fucking bitch and I hope dies, Rachel is just the kind of bland, who is affected by missed potential, if we're gonna use that word, and probably some of the worst pacing I've ever seen in a while. But first of all, once again, Rachel Amber is pretty much a manic pixie dream girl. At least she gets really close to it. She's this almost angelic figure to Chloe. The story treats her as this very charming figure you're supposed to like, even though she cheats on Chloe after the game ends, which isn't actually explored. Which sucks because that could have actually been cool to explore. You could have explored Chloe changing through Rachel and not for the better. But what actually happens is she starts off as a bitch and ends up as a bitch, but this time with blue in her hair. In terms of personal character arcs, they just kind of meander around for a bit. While meanwhile, you have a bunch of Metal Gear Solid plot twists. Glad to know that's where the story's priorities are. The worst part about Rachel, though, is that she's frankly just fucking boring. She doesn't play off of Chloe Price at all, and has next to no chemistry with her. In fact, the most chemistry these two have together is this wistful exposition that has no bite or anything to it.
I was just thinking, maybe I was wrong before. Who cares if the stars are dead? Fuck the stars.
I'm already a demon.
This game understands romantic chemistry as well as a Wattpad fanfiction does. What this game also doesn't understand is proper pacing. So the original game was 5 episodes long, right? With each episode lying around the 1.5 to 2.5 hour mark, allowing for a decently sized 8-hour game. In other words, one of the better parts of the game was the pacing, which at best is fine, I guess. But before the storm, at least the core game is 3 episodes long, meaning they have to cram a lot more into one episode. Meaning that we first meet Rachel in a love at first sight kind of way, have one full conversation with her,
Bitch took my yoo-hoo,
and then she sees her dad cheating on her supposedly, leading to a 3rd act breakup between Chloe and Rachel. In the first episode, it's extremely jarring. The pacing is way too fast. The scenes with Chloe and Rachel feel like they last like 5 seconds and are so over-reliant on tropes and plot beats simply because they didn't have time to actually flesh it out. It's very similar to how the first game has so much going on, but none of it really connects properly. But in the first game, it was a too many cooks in one kitchen kind of situation. But in Before the Storm, you do indeed have enough for a 5-episode game, but the game is told over 3 episodes. I'm pretty much complaining about everything except for the romance, because that's how memorable the romance actually is. The romance itself is just not well written at all, and involves 2 characters I couldn't give a single shit about. What could have been a romance about manipulation, which could have been a pretty cool deconstruction of Rachel as a character, devolves into a bunch of dumb plot twists that are not only contrived, but also actively take away from what should have been the main focus. This shit is fucking ass!
Part 4, other dumb shit. I don't know when to get this video done.
Like I said earlier, the game is only 3 episodes long, leading to a really rushed pacing. As a result, you're more so told through exposition what to feel, rather than being subtly shown. A case in point, these really dumb dream sequences, where Chloe's dad comes out and starts explaining inner character motivations.
See? You're so drawn to it,
You don't even realize the danger.
Shut your bitch ass up! It's so blatant what you're supposed to feel during these scenes. It's quite literally explained to you. It's like if in Silent Hill 2, if just randomly in the game, Mary came out and went, James, you're just guilty and horny, don't feel bad. And then starts reading Silent Hill 2's Wikipedia article. What is it with these games and just being shit at subtlety? You would think that for an M-rated series, it would be a little bit more, you know, mature. What else is there? There's a really dumb plot twist where you get that scene where Rachel sees her dad cheating on her mom or something, when it turns out that's actually Rachel's real mom, and her real mom is a heroin addict. This doesn't impact the greater Life is Strange universe at all, of course. It's just so we can have some drama in this dumbass plot, which you could have done anyways with the Rachel cheating on Chloe plot. I don't know, these narrative choices are really stupid. There's this one character who has the hots for Chloe Price. I forgot he existed, so that's how good his character is. You get the origins of Hela in this game. Ah, finally! My experience with the original game is finally enhanced. Was this game like rushed or something? This is all shockingly sloppy, even by Life is Strange standards. Like, what is the point to this? In fact, on that note...
Conclusion, what is the point to this?
This game has no reason to exist. It doesn't expand on anything. Most of this game is just referencing the first game. There's even a fucking post-credits scene, which is one big Mr. Jefferson tease. This is a fucking Marvel movie! Wow, I'm glad the guy who drugs, kidnaps, and murders women is now suddenly treated like he's Mr. fucking Fantastic.
Sup, bitches? It's Chad Warden here.
It's fucking dumb! How do people like this? Will Mr. Jefferson be fighting Thanos in the MCU? Look, enjoy what you want, okay? But here's the thing. This is a dumb game made for dumb people. What am I supposed to analyze here? The fucking reference-bait cameos? The contrived-as-shit plot twist? The still awful dialogue? These games are fucking garbage. And Before the Storm is borderline pointless. It honest to God doesn't enhance anything about the original game. The best thing I can say about it is, if you like the original, this is more of the same, I guess. Only this time, way more sloppy. This game is shit. I'm going back to Fortnite. Please play Night in the Woods instead.
Fuck you in the lanes you came with. Me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch, nah. All that shit it fit. Rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star. I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue hundreds. I'm too money. Ay, and my little bitch, she too lovely. Yeah, hanging up and calling me right back. Ay, baby, why you calling me like that? Yeah, getting high with the seat laid back. Baby, gon' relax, yeah. Hey, they don't know the half, yeah. No matter what happened, I got your back. Baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah. We can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn. Hey, laying outside in the summer sun. Yeah, we can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn. Hey, baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah.
You can't handle me. Hold up. Ain't you Nathaniel B?
Holy fuck. I'm